Hello, Internet. Welcome to Full Frontal Developer. No doubt you've seen some flashy web page content in your time and have wondered how it's created. With today's project, we will show how with only a few lines of code, you yourself can create something just as awesome. This video will be a shorty but goodie. We're going to be working on a hidden search bar widget, which looks something like this. Small icon with a magnifying glass that when clicked expands into a full-fledged search bar and will then condense after being clicked again. Something fairly easy, so without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into Visual Studio. You see here we have the three obligatory files, our index.html for the body, the script.js for the behavior, and the style.css for the styling. So we'll go ahead and start with the index.html. We'll declare this as a doc type since it's going to be HTML5, and we will go ahead and open up our HTML tags. And in the HTML tags, we will start our head tags. Within those, we'll declare our meta tags. The first one will be the character set, which is going to be UTF-8, the most common one used to ensure that all of the characters are decoded correctly. And next, we will have a meta tag that declares the view object, so we'll have a viewport. And we'll make sure that no matter what device is being used, the content is displayed at the correct scale and the correct width. So we'll set the content equal to the width, which is equal to the device width, and the initial scale will be set to 1. All right, we can close out that tag there. And after that, we can go ahead and include the link to the style sheet that we're going to be using. Since this widget icon uses an icon sourced from Font.awesome, we're going to go ahead and include the link to that CSS file. If you go to fontawesome.com, there'll be a button here that says Start for Free, and when you click that, you have the option of entering your email address, and they will send you a link to their public style sheet. However, I'm not going to be doing that. I already have a copy of the link, and even you yourself can get a copy of that without submitting an email, simply by doing a quick Google search. And so rather than going through all of that, I'm going to simply copy and paste the link to their style sheet right there. And if you want to pause the video to write that down or just go ahead and do a Google search for that, you're welcome to. Otherwise, you can also go to the GitHub link in the description and just download the content for this project in entirety. After including the link to their style sheet, we're going to go ahead and also declare a link to our style sheet, which is going to be called style.css. It is a style sheet with a reference of style.css, like so, and that'll take care of the link. Okay, moving forward, we'll make a title tag, and we'll call this hidden search widget. And that should be everything we need in the head tag. So now we can go ahead and open up a body tag and get to work on the nuts and bolts of this. So this one will be pretty simple. We're going to make a div. We'll call the class search. And within this div, we will have an input of type text. And we'll include that into the class that we'll call input. And then we'll actually give it a placeholder, and the placeholder will be the text search, like so. And then after the input, we're going to have a button object. We'll put this in a class that we'll call btn. And inside the button, we're going to go ahead and reference the icon. So we'll have an icon of class, and in order to source it from Font.awesome, we're going to type FAS and then FA-search, which is going to be the name of that particular magnifying glass. And we'll close out that tag, and that ends the button, and that ends the div. The last thing we need to do is to include the reference to our scripting, and we'll do that inside the body. We'll do a script tag. Source is going to be equal to script.js, and that'll be for the behavior. So we'll close that scripting tag out, and that's actually going to be the entire body. And so we can save that. And if we load this into live server, you'll see we don't have too much working with right here, just a simple search bar. There's the placeholder text, and there's the icon that we've sourced from fontawesome.com. All right, so looking pretty good so far. Let's go ahead and jump into the style.css, and this is going to be the bulk of the content of the project. So we need to import our font, and I like to do that from fonts.google.com. And so if we could jump over here, we'll pick Roboto. And we'll wait for it to load. We'll do something like, let's do regular 400. I'm going to select this. I'm going to click over here on import, and we don't need to include the style tags because it's going to be embedded directly into our style.css. So we'll simply copy the content of the style ad right here. And we're going to paste that import right there in the CSS file. And that'll give us access to that beautiful font. Now we're going to do a universal styling of box sizing, and it's going to be a border box just to keep it nice and simple. And then we'll start to style the elements of the body, and that's going to be background color, background image, because I want to use a gradient. So I'm going to do linear gradient of 90 degrees, and the color palette I've selected comes from color.adobe.com. And I've picked out this nice kind of sort of a desaturated rose gold, and then this nice darker brown that's in the same monochromatic color palette. So I've got both of these references right here. And the fun thing about color.adobe.com is it gives you this fun little color wheel with which you can select all sorts of interesting color palettes and color schemes as it shows right here. But the one that I've selected is going to be that nice little desaturated rose gold. And so those hexadecimal values are going to be, if I can get my cursor here, it's going to be 5C3029. And I want that to be a gradient going into A8584C, like so. So two beautiful little colors right there. We'll do a font family, and we need to make sure to include the Roboto that we're referencing from Google, and that will be a sans serif font. The display we'll set to flex, and then in doing so we will always align items to center and justify content to center. And that'll put the search widget right in the middle of the screen, and we'll have it properly aligned based on the sizing of the screen. Then we're going to give it a height of 100% of whatever the view height is, the viewport height. The overflow we were going to make hidden. We don't want any scroll bars, like so. And then we're going to give it a margin of 0 because I like to just define the margins per each item. Now, we had a search class that we're going to need to style now. The search class is going to be styled position relative, and it's going to have a height of 50 pixels. So it'll be big enough to see, but not too big. Next, after that, we're going to have the search class, and within, if I can type that, within the search class, we want to capture the input class and define the input class object. And that's going to have a background color. We'll just do basic white. And we'll take away any border that it might have. We will do a font size of, let's say, 18 pixels, not too large. And we'll give it some padding. Padding will be 15 pixels. And we'll give it height of 50 pixels so it matches. And we'll give it a width of 50 pixels. Like so. And after that, we need to make sure that we define the transition of the input, because the input is originally going to be hidden. It's going to be made visible and then re-hidden after the user clicks on the icon. So the transition is simply going to be applied to the width property. It's going to take 0.3 seconds, and we want it to ease the transition. Okay, so nearly done with the styling. We need to target the button element. So let's do the button class rather. We'll target the button class for styling. We'll make the background color of the button class white as well, just for simplicity. We will take away any borders it has. We will make the cursor pointer so that little finger shows up whenever they hover over it so they know that it is clickable. We'll do a font size of 24 to make that make the icon nice and big. And let's do position absolute. And we're going to have it positioned to the top of 0, lined to the top of 0, and lined to the left of 0. And that will make it fit in there nice and easy. And since we're going to line it to the top left of absolute positioning of 0, we'll define the height to be the same as the search bar, 50 pixels, and as well the width set to 50 pixels. That'll line it up nice and snug with the search bar. And this one will also need to have a transition. And the transition is going to be applied to the transform. And we'll make it 0.3 seconds with ease as well, because we want that icon to drift to the right as the search bar increases in size as it's made visible. So that's everything we need to do for the button element. Lastly, the button is going to have a state of focus. So when the button is, we'll do class button. When it is in the focus state, we want to make sure that not only the button in the focus state, but we'll also have the input in the focus state, because they are going to be attached to each other. When the button and the input both are in the focus state, we're going to take away any outline. That'll make it look nice and clean. And then we're going to target the search. We're going to give it the class of active or inactive, and when it has the class of active, we will target within the search the input, and we will apply the width of 200 pixels to that transition. That's how big it's going to get whenever it's clicked. And then we will do the search active and then target the button. And when it's active, we will transform the button along the x-axis, so that's going to be a translate x, by 198 pixels, so almost the entire 200 pixels wide. Alright, I believe that's all the styling that we're going to need for this. There's nothing that we can check on that yet, except for maybe the color. Let's go ahead and see if that does anything there. There we go, we got that nice gradient, we've got that beautiful icon right in the middle, but no functionality yet, because that is going to be here in the script.js file. So, very quickly, we're going to jump into the JS. We're going to define a couple of constants. We'll do the search, which is going to be equal to a document.querySelector, because we've given it the class name of search. We'll define a constant called button, and with that we can also do a query selector because we've named it under the class btn, and we can do a constant of input, also equal to a document.querySelector, as we have also given that the class name of input. Now that we have these three constants, we can add an event listener to our button. It will be a click listener, and when it's clicked we want the following function to be performed, which is going to be getting the class list of the search constant and doing a toggle on the class property of active. This is going to add or remove the active class, and after that we want to write a function called input.focus. Alright, so this is giving me an error. What is it saying here? Oh, I've misspelled constant. Const. Let me correct that. Okay, so that looks correct there. Let's go ahead and save that and see if that works. Still no functionality, so I must be missing something here. Let's see what's gone wrong. And I think I see what we've done wrong here. I've forgotten to include the dot for the button, so it actually knows that it's a class. Let me go ahead and resave that and see if that works. All right, beautiful. So if we maximize this, we jump in here, we see that that search icon will activate the search bar, which makes it expand, and we'll search for something interesting. Of course, this doesn't have any functionality. It's only a simple widget, and hopefully this video has been fun and entertaining, and I look forward to seeing everyone back again in the next video. Again, this content is all available on the GitHub link, which will be in the description. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.